Good afternoon, Geoff Harrop, General Manager of Torquay United Football Club. It's your turn on the questions for the club. Questions submitted by Torquay United fans and supporters. I'm going to jump straight in, Geoff. The first one is from James Cook, who's from Wigan, but a United fan for over 26 years. James asks, is there a hidden agenda in your role at Torquay United?
Hi James, certainly not. I've come here as the General Manager. That's the role that's been given to me by Clark, and I'm excited about it. My intentions of being a manager, they obviously went many years ago. I was obviously fortunate enough to take the game against Morecambe, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope the fans did on that game, because they were very supportive to the players and myself and the staff. But that was a one-off that I filled in for the club at a time when obviously we'd just let the manager go previously, and excited about the new role, and we'll go from there.
Is that because that has been one of the accusations levelled at you, has been Geoff, all he wants to do is to be the manager one day, and we know behind the scenes that that's not the case. But what would you say to fans who sort of have that perception?
I'd just say to fans, I have no intention of being the manager of this football club. I think there's a lot of great young managers there that could do with support from experienced people, and enjoy their success, and they're driven obviously to become Premier League managers. And if I can support anyone, and especially Kevin Nicholson, then I'm going to do so, and we'll do everything we can to help him.
And another thing that James mentions is, and it's a bit of a strange one really, he says, do you deny actively intimidating players in the lodge? And for those who don't know, the Girls' Lodge is the property that the club owns, where a lot of our lads will be accommodated, both loan and permanent players.
Yeah, I have a very close affiliation to the lodge. We had our young players in there a few years ago, and now we have a few pros in there. That's a facility that we need to take real care of, and inside, and respect the facility that we've got, because we're very fortunate to have that. So not at all intimidating players. All I ask the players to do is respect what we've got here at Torquay United Football Club, whether it's the training ground, the changing rooms, the showers, everything to do with this football club. Respect it like your own, and treat it like your own home.
The next question comes from Richard Inman, a lifelong fan from Tavistock, and Richard asks, please can you explain the support you have provided to Kevin Nicholson since your statement of intent to do so in early March? And he also asks, I think something you've just covered really, but please can you state if you have any future interest in being the manager of the football club?
Well, as I said on the last question, I have no interest in being the manager of this football club. My interest is supporting the manager, and obviously supporting the football club, and that comes in many areas in accommodation, players. It comes in the form of hotels, making sure we underpin everything for the staff, including Kevin and his players, that we can get the best and the ultimate performance on the pitch, and that's what we're all here for.
So what? Because obviously those of us inside the club, and any club, understand what the chief exec or general manager, or however you want to call it, does. It's two-pronged. It's the work you do with the football manager, be it on all sorts of things, from scouting players to looking at opponents to discussing where they're going to train on a wet Thursday morning. The other prong is obviously what happens behind the scenes. What can you tell us about that side?
Well, spending the last few weeks looking at behind the scenes, we've got some people here that work tirelessly to support the football club, from Sharon to yourself, Tim, to Patrick, to Mandy. There's numerous people that volunteers that support this football club and do things behind the scenes. And as I said, what I've looked at is everybody and what our roles are and what our responsibilities are and how we can get the best out of people. I'm really excited about what we've got behind the scenes here because of our work ethic and our passion for the football club to be successful, and that's really important. On the pitch, obviously, to get players in with our contacts, because that's so important, getting contacts with other clubs. And from my experience of being in the Football League and being in the role of a youth coach, and those players are now playing in the Football League and have played 200-300 games, is to see if we can get players at the club that maybe people haven't looked at, but ultimately it's going to be Kevin's decision.
A further question, sort of on the football theme, or the first team theme if you like, it comes from Philip Swan, who's a Torquay United fan since the 70s. With a difficult one to answer really, but with the real threat of playing next season in the Conference South, would the playing staff remain full-time, or would we have to switch to part-time?
I think that's a very difficult question to ask with 4 games to go. Your head is saying that you're in trouble. The league doesn't lie. Your heart says we're going to get out of this, and everyone's doing everything they can to make that happen. We will obviously make that decision at the end of the season. I think that's when you review everything at a football club, off the pitch and on the pitch, and players, etc., being most important. So sorry, can't ask or answer a yes or no, but that will be reviewed at the end of the season of where we go. My own thoughts are I hope we are full time. Of course I do, but results on the pitch obviously affect all different departments, and I'm not giving up hope. So there's plenty to play for, plenty of things to get excited about for the next 4 games. And if the support is anything like Aldershot, then we've got every chance of staying up.
Yeah, if we move on to the academy, or the plans to form a new academy, and Alan Merson has asked, elite training for the under-12 age group next year will be just 1 hour on a Monday evening with a game on a Saturday. He then goes on to say, basically, under-7s to under-10s will get 1.5 hours a week, under-12s and under-13s only 1 hour. The question is, from Alan, are you seriously suggesting this is an adequate manner in which to develop potential professional footballers?
Certainly, Alan, we're not suggesting that that's adequate, but it's a start. We're starting from scratch again. We want to build an academy that takes time. Players don't suddenly come and become first team players. It's a long process. The wheel that we base it on is from coming into a football club at 9 and at 16 getting an apprenticeship. That's 7 years. That is a long time for a young player to develop physically, mentally. There's lots of factors educationally which we feel is so important at this football club. What happened in the past is that it did take time for players to come through. In the 4.5 years that we had an academy, we were just building a strong base and a strong foundation for that circle to come to fruition. As you know, we've got Will and we've got Charlie. We sold Neil Osborne to Southampton to the Premiership, who was a local boy. There's also players that we lost through closing the academy. So it does take a long time to get through. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. So to answer your question, of course 1 hour is not enough. We would like it to be all day, and they spend every day with us like they do in the Category 1 academies where they can get out of school. But that's something that we're going to go for. That's something that we're going to drive to go for. But we need to start from the bottom of the ladder and building an academy that is sustainable, and also, most importantly, is develop players for our first team.
Geoff, we move on to a couple of questions about general supporters, if you like, and the stadium. This one comes from Steve Harris, who's 33 from King Stainton. His question is, as part of your job involves providing the board with an insight into the footballing side of the club, have you ever considered watching the game from Bristow's bench, which provides possibly the best vantage point in the entire National League?
I certainly agree that it's a lovely stand. We're very fortunate and lucky to have a stand like that. And I have spent many times watching games, especially in my first tenure here. So watching it at the top, you get a fantastic view and you can see the whole game. And I'm sure that over the next few months and few games and early part of next season, that I'll watch it from many different vantage points, and especially Bristow's bench. You know, it is a lovely place to watch the game from, and enjoying being with the supporters. I think that's really important, being alongside them, feeling and appreciating, you know, what they're doing and how they support the football club. All helps of how we're trying to improve this football club. So certainly be going to different areas of the club. I'm not one to sit in the director's box. You know, I don't think that's my role at times. Sometimes I have to entertain people, you know, sponsors, etc. So yeah, I'll be spending many times at Bristow's bench and look forward to speaking to you.
Kind of, we stick again with a similar theme, and this one comes from Bob Cole, and he's talking about the general demographic of people inside the building. Bob obviously went to Aldershot last Saturday, so there was a large number of fans in their 20s and 30s, and he has asked what we will be doing to encourage young people of primary and secondary school age to get them through the turnstiles and build our future fan base.
I certainly agree with that question. Obviously, being at Aldershot myself, you know, there was a large population of the younger element, if you like. So working with Torquay United Community Sports Trust, myself and Craig, who speak on a daily and weekly basis, are going to be looking into that, of how we can entice more people, more young people, to come and support this football club. Also, you know, I have to say that when you have an academy and you run an academy, they either play for the club or they become supporters of the club. When you're young, you have a team. You know, why should it not be Torquay United? Me being from Colchester, I was very passionate about Colchester United as a young kid, and very fortunate to be part of that football club. And the same thing was when I've come down here 7 years ago now, as that I fell in love with Torquay, and you know, I have that young approach that, you know, this is a beautiful football club and a fantastic football club. You know, we're all very passionate down here about Torquay United Football Club, so that's an area that we'll certainly be working on, and certainly to having a big drive to support young people coming into this football club, because they are the future.
Geoff, the next question actually comes from a mum called Linda, who basically has obviously had her young lad at one of the social events for our players, and it follows on from what we were talking about, Torquay United Community Sports Trust and their work with young people. Basically what Linda is, it's more of a thank you than a question. She has written in to say, well look, thank you ever so much to Torquay United, Kevin Nicholson and the players for attending the recent Easter soccer school, and how special that was for her young son.
I think it's very special that when a young player sees a footballer, that he looks at him with such high esteem, that that's what he wants to be. I think we all felt that as young kids. The work that's been going on at this football club, it hasn't just started today. You know, it started a few years ago when our Torquay United Community Sports Trust, you know, got together, and Craig has really led from the front in getting his group of team together to work on visiting. They went to the hospital this week. I mean, absolutely fantastic, and done an Easter egg hunt and visited the obviously sick children in hospital. They're also going down to doing the extra work they do in schools, etc. So things are taken off here, and it hasn't just started with us coming in, but we've got to build on that. You know, with GI coming in here, we have to build on getting these supporters, back into here, making this a place that everyone wants to come to. And that only comes with excitement, energy, drive, and obviously the support of the local community.
And that, a lot of that is fantastic, the work the community guys are doing. You and I both know that a lot of it is dependent on the attitude of the manager, the coaches and the players. And it has to be said, from all my time in football, I've never seen a group of coaching staff and players that are so good, receptive, responsive and willing to spend their time out in the community. I think Kevin and the boys deserve huge credit for that.
I certainly endorse that. They've been fantastic. You know, the players and the energy that Kevin has in supporting the community has been fantastic, and it's something that, you know, we all commend him for on behalf of the football club, and long may it carry on. You know, it's something that's very important to us. It's something that young players and young footballers are very important to us, because they are our future. We have to add in education to that. You know, I think every parent would want to make sure that we educate them as well, and not just say you're going to be a footballer, because as we know, the number of players that actually reach the summit, if you like, hence it be Division 2, Division 1 or the Premiership, is very small. But that's something that's part of our drive, and we're working with schools, local schools, to endorse our programme.
Final one, Geoff, and it's come from Alan Merson again, and his first question is, Geoff, you seem to be very thin-skinned over fans' forums. Aren't you confusing them with a cheerleading exercise?
Well, fans' forums is not something that I'm used to. You know, I think when you've been involved with youth football and working in this environment, then, you know, there's so much to do dealing with players, parents and schools that you don't have time to go on the fans forums, you know. And I've always had my door open for people and parents to come in and speak and say, and if they've got any great ideas, of course, love to implement them. So it's new to me. Obviously, you know, people within the club said, have you seen the fans forum? And I said, well, no, actually, because I didn't finish work till late. So I can't give them an answer of what's been going on. As for being thin-skinned, I think, Alan, if you come and see me, you know, I've put on a bit of weight since probably I was last at the football club. So I certainly will look at that. And if I'll tell Mrs. Harrop to get a few more salads in, then I certainly will tell her that, and hopefully I'll be a healthier person.
I think the more serious point that Alan goes on to make is on, you know, he says, are you aware of the immense anger that exists among supporters after years of mismanagement, misdirection and apparent lack of commitment to strengthen the playing squad? He describes this as a time of crisis, but I suppose the key point is those years of misdirection. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm not into blaming individuals or really speaking about what's happened in the past. What I'm more concerned of is where we go from today, and how we can drive this forward and build on some of the good work that's been done, and just make this ground and this place far better. Having lived in Torquay for the last 7 years, and been involved in the part where we nearly got into Division 1, with all due respect, of course I've seen a downward spiral that's happened, and of course I can understand the anger. I live in the town, you know, I feel it, I speak to people, you know, my friends always remind me how we've got on a Saturday when I speak to them, or we meet up on Sundays or Mondays. So I feel it. I feel every bit of every single fan that's here. I share our disappointment of where we are today, and where we were on that fantastic day at Old Trafford. You know, we're a long way from there, but it is what it is. You know, we have to accept it. GI and the club have to start somewhere. And with GI coming in here and adding their experience, and with the good staff that we've got, I'm excited. And there'll be better times. Football is very much an up and down game. You can't take anything for granted in this game. But with our enthusiasm and the drive behind the scenes that we've got now, and with the last 2 games at home coming up, we need everyone to get behind us. This is a crisis, could be a setback, but it will only be a setback. And life is full of setbacks. And if we have to go down that road, then that's the road we have to accept. But it won't be for not trying, that's for sure. So a big thank you for everyone that comes to the ground and the support that we had 1,800 in the last game. A big thank you to them, and we need that again. And I'm sure, like always, and like certainly at Aldershot last week, everyone's going to be right behind Kevin and the players.
Geoff, that's all the questions for this week. Thank you very much for answering questions for the club. Next week we're going to speak to some of the community boys, and they'll talk about community projects and the things you've discussed on step 1 of the academy and their work. But for now, Geoff Harrop, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.